Dark times for Alberta. Attacks have begun, and the impact is already being felt. Alberta is currently facing a turbulent political landscape, with Premier Danielle Smith and her United Conservative Party, UCP, under fire from various factions within the province. The conversation around Alberta's potential separation from Canada has intensified, with many interpreting this as a calculated distraction. Critics argue that the focus on separatism diverts attention from the UCP's controversial legislative maneuvers, which seem more focused on consolidating power than on genuine aspirations for sovereignty. In a compelling analysis, Don Braid of the Calgary Herald points out that while separatist talk grabs headlines, the real action is happening through legislation that fundamentally alters Alberta's relationship with the federal government. Smith's administration is pushing for a significant reduction in municipal powers, centralizing authority in a way that raises eyebrows among critics. The new regulations that prevent municipalities from negotiating independent funding agreements with Ottawa exemplify this trend. Detractors argue that these moves represent an alarming overreach, while supporters assert that they are necessary to ensure provincial control over critical local issues. Healthcare reform has emerged as a cornerstone of the UCP's agenda. The government is increasingly embracing private delivery options within the public healthcare system, with new laws enabling private corporations to operate public hospitals. This shift has sparked a heated debate. Some view it as a pathway to privatization, while proponents argue it enhances patient choice and reduces wait times. They contend that as long as the government continues to fund these services in line with the Canada Health Act, this approach is a valid response to long-standing issues within the healthcare system. The implications of these legislative changes extend beyond healthcare. The UCP's Critical Infrastructure Amendment Act, for instance, claims provincial authority over sectors such as oil and gas, traditionally under federal jurisdiction. This assertive stance is mirrored in the Alberta Firearms Act, which aims to limit federal influence over gun policy enforcement within the province. The UCP's actions suggest a strong desire to redefine Alberta's role within Canada, positioning it as a province that will not shy away from asserting its rights. In a bold move, Premier Smith has even proposed the idea of opting out of federal health transfers in exchange for a share of the goods and services tax, GST, collected in Alberta. While this proposal remains speculative, it signals a growing impatience with federal policies that many Albertans perceive as inhibiting provincial growth. The notion of fiscal independence resonates with supporters who argue that Alberta deserves more control over its economic destiny. Supporters of the UCP's legislative changes argue that these actions are essential to protect Alberta's economic interests and counter what they perceive as ongoing federal overreach. They see the new laws as a foundation for greater autonomy, if not outright independence. As the province gears up for a sovereignty referendum scheduled for 2026, the momentum for these changes appears to be gaining strength. Many Albertans are expressing their frustration with Ottawa, signaling a desire for alternatives that align more closely with their values and aspirations. Political commentators and federal representatives are poised to amplify their criticisms as the referendum date draws closer. Concerns about potential disruptions to national unity and public services are central to these discussions. However, supporters of the UCP argue that such criticisms often stem from a fear of Alberta genuinely pursuing independence. They believe that the federal government and its allies are increasingly anxious about Alberta's rising discontent and the possibility of other provinces following suit. Figures like Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, are likely to play pivotal roles in shaping the national discourse surrounding provincial autonomy. Poilievre's rhetoric may resonate deeply with those who feel marginalized by federal policies, allowing him to position himself as a champion of Alberta's interests. His support for provincial rights could galvanize further support for the UCP and its agenda, reinforcing the perception that Alberta's grievances are valid and worthy of national attention. On the other hand, Mark Carney, the new leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister, faces the challenge of addressing the concerns of Albertans while maintaining a unified national front. Carney's leadership will be critical in navigating these complex dynamics, especially as he seeks to foster a sense of national unity amidst rising regional tensions. His ability to engage with Albertan issues will be crucial in mitigating the frustrations that have been boiling over in recent years. As Alberta navigates these choppy waters, the ongoing legislative changes reflect a province determined to assert its identity and future. The political momentum is palpable, with many Albertans feeling empowered to voice their opinions on the direction of their province. The prospect of a sovereignty referendum looms large on the horizon, and it has the potential to reshape not just Alberta's future, but also its relationship with the rest of Canada. The conversations happening in Alberta today are indicative of a broader trend in Canadian politics, where regional frustrations are increasingly coming to the forefront. Many Canadians are watching closely, as the outcomes of these debates could have far-reaching implications for national unity. The growing support for autonomy among Albertans suggests that there is a significant segment of the population that feels disconnected from federal governance. As the referendum approaches, the stakes are high for both the UCP and the federal government. The narrative around Alberta's sovereignty is not just about separation. It's about empowerment, control, and the desire for a future that reflects the aspirations of its citizens. The UCP's legislative changes may well be viewed as the first steps toward a redefined relationship with Canada, one that prioritizes Alberta's unique needs and perspectives. Ultimately, the future of Alberta hangs in the balance. Whether the province chooses to remain within Canada or forge its own path, the ongoing political shifts and legislative changes will have lasting implications. As Albertans weigh their options, the discussions surrounding autonomy and sovereignty are unlikely to fade anytime soon. The political landscape in Alberta is evolving, and the impact of these developments will resonate far beyond its borders, shaping the narrative of Canadian politics for years to come.